Well, welcome this afternoon to Government Affairs. And before we begin, I'd like to explain how a virtual committee meeting will work, since this is a new process for all of us. As you know, the legislative building is currently closed to the public, and so all committee meetings will be held virtually, meaning committee members, staff, and everyone else will participate through Zoom video conference or by telephone. However, there are various ways members of the public can engage with us and participate throughout the process. As in previous sessions, all committee-related information is available on the Nevada Electronic Legislative Information System, or NELIS, and that's 1L, which is accessible from the legislature's website. There are four ways to engage with the committee, and these include registering to participate in the committee meeting through the new system on NELIS, which places you in line to testify on a bill or provide public comment during the meeting, submitting written testimony to the committee email address or fax number listed on the agenda, sharing your opinion via the legislature's opinion application on NELIS, or viewing committee meetings online through NELIS or on the legislature's YouTube channel. During the 2021 legislative session, to testify on a bill or provide public comment, members of the public must first register for the meeting you would like to participate in. Committee meetings are listed in several places on NELIS, and to register, please simply click the participate button next to the meeting date and time, and then fill in the required information, your name, the agenda item you're interested in, and your position on the bill. Once your registration is submitted, you will see a confirmation screen, and you will also receive an email with the phone number and meeting ID to call in at the time of the meeting. Just a note that while meeting registration is required to participate, it does not guarantee you will be able to speak. Similar to previous sessions, testimony and public comment may be limited as we move along to time constraints. When you are on the phone line, please pay attention to which bill is being considered. Follow the verbal prompts provided by the publication staff so that you know which keys to press to raise your hand or unmute yourself. Staff will call on you to speak by the last 3 digits of your phone number. Detailed instructions for participating in committee meetings are also available on the help page, which is linked in the banner at the top of every page on NELIS. If you need assistance with any of these processes, or if you would like to receive electronic notification of the committee's agendas and minutes, please contact our committee manager at the committee email listed on the agenda. And with that, we will begin our meeting. Good afternoon and welcome to the first meeting of the Senate Committee on Government Affairs, and thanks to everyone who is joining us this afternoon online. We surely appreciate your participation. And members, will you remember to mute your microphone when you're not speaking, and will the secretary please call the roll?
Vice Chair Orenshaw.
Present.
Senator Goycochea.
Here.
Senator Neal.
Here.
Senator Hansen.
Here.
Chair Dondero Loop.
Here. Thank you very much. All our members are present, so we do have a quorum. First, we're going to begin with introductions and agenda items. And I've already talked a lot about how our virtual meetings will work, but as you know, because we have a closed building and all our committee meetings will be held online, and you can participate either through Zoom or by telephone. During the 2021 session, just remember that if you want to provide public comment, members of the public must first register. And as we move forward, the meeting materials, as I said, will all be accessed on the committee's webpage on the Nevada Legislature's website. We'll have a period of public comment at the end of the meeting, and per what we've done in the past, our public comment will be limited to 2 minutes per speaker. And so you can always participate via email, and that can be posted. This is my first time on government affairs, and I'm so honored to be the chair. I know remote committee meetings during session are a new experience for all of us, but I have a lot of faith that we'll be successful. So bear with us as we work through this first meeting that we're on. Some of us have had meetings, some of us haven't, and we're all learning to unmute instead of talk, and you can't hear us. We're going to start today's meeting with introductions and a committee brief presentation, and then we'll get straight to work on some bill hearings. And so with that, let us get started. And I'd like to introduce my staff and the members of the committee as well. I would now like the committee members to introduce themselves and indicate their interest in serving on the committee. And I'm going to start with the vice chair, and then I'll go at the end. So let's start with Vice Chair, Senator Orenshaw.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairwoman Dondero Loop. James Orenshaw, I represent State Senate District 21. That's parts of Henderson and unincorporated Clark County. I was lucky enough to get to serve on this committee last session under your predecessor, Senator Parks, who chaired this committee. I really enjoyed the breadth of issues that are before this committee, and whether it's things like local government operations and really things that affect our constituents, and we really have a great ability to help them in this committee. I'm so glad I get to serve on this committee, and I want to help you in any way. And we've got great members, great staff, and thank you for letting me be on your committee, letting me be your vice chair, Madam Chair.
Thank you, and I look forward to working with you. Senator Goicoechea.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senator Pete Goicoechea, representing Senate District 19, eastern half of the state. I've served a lot of sessions in government affairs. I don't know how many, both in the Assembly and I believe I've been in government affairs here for the last 5 sessions. So this is my 5th session. I do have an interest in local government, and I did serve as a county commissioner for a number of years as well. So it's always been very intriguing to me, government affairs. I really appreciate the opportunity to serve here, and I hope I can help a little. Thank you.
I'm sure you can, and I appreciate you serving on the committee because we will need your expertise. Senator Neal.
Okay. Good afternoon, Madam Chair. So I am Senator Dina Neal. I represent District 4. I have served on government affairs for 4 sessions on the Assembly side. And this will be my first session on Senate government affairs. So I know the issues. So I'm glad to be on this committee and look forward to the policy discussions.
Thank you very much. And the person hanging on the wall behind you is looking over you and looking over all of us, and we'll do well. Thank you. Senator Hansen.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. Like you, this is my first time serving on government affairs. It's my 6th legislative session, though, but I'm looking forward to it. When I heard you were going to be chair, in all honesty, I wanted to be on this committee. So I'm very interested in learning more about how all these government issues work. My state Senate district is District 14. It includes 38,000 square miles of Nevada, most geographically of Washoe County, and then all of Humboldt County, Lander County, Mineral County, Esmeralda County, and Pershing County, and a large section of Nye County, including most of the city of Tonopah. So anyway, all these government issues are somewhat new to me, so I look forward to learning a lot more and being able to participate and help hopefully craft some good legislation for these areas that I represent. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Hansen, and I look forward to working with you. And both you and Senator Chia have so much of our state that it will be a welcome piece of information to this committee. So I am Senator Marilyn Dondero Loop, and I represent Senate District 8, which is the west end of Las Vegas, most notably the Lakes, Piccoli Ranch, downtown Summerlin, and then part of Summerlin up to the Paseos. This is my 5th session, my 2nd as a senator. I have not served on government affairs, but I have chaired transportation, health and human services, and revenue and economic development prior to this, and served on judiciary and education, and I can't even remember what else, a sundry of committees. And so I'm really looking forward to serving on this committee. Government affairs is so important, and right now during this time, I think it's going to be very worthy for all of us to have a healthy discussion about what's going on in our communities. So I'm very honored to follow Senator David Parks, and thank you very much. And now I will introduce our staff who will be assisting us this session. And our staff, I have been honored to work with the last few days already. And Elisa Keller, who will be serving as our committee policy analyst. And Elisa will be helping us with background and research on the issues that come before the committee, along with helping our committee manager to set up meetings. And I don't know if we have Elisa, if she's, oh, there you are. Okay, perfect. I wanted to make sure you weren't hidden so that we can all see your face. She has been my right hand, and so I really appreciate that. Heidi Clarkson will be serving as our committee legal counsel, and Heidi will be providing legal advice and working with me and other committee staff on bill amendments and other legal matters. And I appreciate Heidi and Elisa for having early meetings with me and discussing how our session would go. Linda Gentry will be serving as our committee manager, and Linda will be preparing the agendas, uploading exhibits to Nellis, interfacing with the front desk and the Secretary of the Senate. Many of you know all of these three highly qualified members of our staff. They've worked here at the legislature, and we're so fortunate to have them. Our committee secretaries are Suzanne Efford and Janae Johnson, and they'll be attending our meetings, preparing minutes, and will assist all of us in a variety of tasks as they come up. I would like to welcome and introduce my new legislative assistant, Kathy Davis. And Kathy is the person to contact if you'd like to make an appointment with me. She has the job of keeping my calendar and generally keeping me on track, which most of you know is probably a full-time job and a half. So finally, on behalf of the committee, I would also like to thank IT and broadcasting production staff who have been critical and have been working so hard to make all this the virtual meetings go smoothly. They've been working night and day, and they've just absolutely done an amazing job bringing us all up to speed and getting us all ready for these meetings. So for our first order of business, we need to approve committee rules, and the proposed rules have been posted on Nellis, and I hope that the members have had an opportunity to review them. And I'll pause just for a moment. They are within your information, members. I don't know if anybody has a question. If they do, I'll entertain that. If not, I'll accept a motion to adopt the committee rules.
Moved.
Second.
Okay, I had a motion from Senator Gokachia, I think it was you, and a second from Senator Orenshaw. Any discussion? Will the secretary please call the roll? Those in favor, would you please answer yes? Aye is extremely hard for us to hear via video.
Vice Chair Orenshaw,
Yes.
Senator Goycochea,
Yes.
Senator Neal,
Yes.
Senator Hansen,
Yes.
Chair Dondero Loop.
Yes. Thank you very much, and the motion carries. Next, we'll have our committee policy analyst, Elisa Keller, will provide a quick overview of the committee brief. When you're ready, Ms. Keller.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Elisa Keller, for the record, and I am a principal policy analyst with the Research Division of the Legislative Council Bureau. and I will be serving as the Senate Government Affairs Committee Policy Analyst this session, and I look forward to working with the members of the committee. As nonpartisan staff, I neither oppose or support any legislation, but I am a resource to members if you require research on any of the topics that come before the committee to help inform decision-making. I have prepared a committee brief setting forth jurisdiction, workload statistics, reports that may be of interest, and other information that may be helpful as we prepare for the legislative session. The brief is posted on Nellis for the members and the public, and I'd like to just quickly go over some of the contents of the brief. So on the first page of the brief, I'd like to call your attention to some especially important deadlines before which we can expect the committee to be particularly busy. April 9th is the date by which bills must be passed out of the committee of the first house, and May 14th is the deadline for bills to be passed out of the committee of the second house. So in terms of workload, I'd like to point out that the Government Affairs Committee has traditionally been the largest volume policy committee after the Judiciary Committee. And during the 2019 session, 131 measures were referred to this committee. So in terms of workload, that means that prior to the April 9th deadline, which is the first House committee passage deadline, the committee will have 28 regularly scheduled meetings, if meetings are held Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And so if the committee has the same number of Senate bills referred as were referred in 2019, that's 87 bills. And the committee will need to hear approximately 3 to 4 bills per meeting. If the committee meets twice per week, that will increase the number of bills to be heard each meeting to 4 to 5 bills per meeting, assuming all bills receive a hearing. So on page 2, you will find a recap of the committee activity during the 2019 session and a link to the 2019 summary of legislation for your reference. The jurisdiction of the committee is quite broad, covering 18 titles of the Nevada Revised Statutes, which are set forth on page 3 of the brief. Topics within the committee's jurisdiction include issues related to the state executive department, counties, cities, towns, military affairs, public employees, and others. And then in Appendix A of the brief, you will find a table setting forth population classifications for counties and cities. And this table can be a helpful resource when reviewing legislation to determine which cities and counties are affected by the legislation. Appendix B includes a list of the pre-filed bills referred to this committee prior to session. And finally, Appendix C includes a glossary of terms that often come up in relation to government affairs topics. So that concludes my overview of the committee brief, and I look forward to working with you all. And I'd like to remind you that I am available to provide the committee and its members with research and assistance on any matters that come before the committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Any questions from the committee members? Are we a quiet group today? No questions? I'm sure there will be questions as we move forward, Ms. Keller. Thank you very, very much for your presentation. With that, we're going to jump right into our first bill hearing. I'm going to open the hearing on Senate Bill 15. This measure revises provisions, that was easy for me to say, relating to grant procurement, coordination, and management. Will the bill presenter please proceed when you are ready?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Can you hear me? Okay. Hi, I'm Erin Hasty. I want to thank you, Madam Chair, and members of the committee and staff for hearing our Senate bill. today. We're the first one, so that's exciting. I'm Erin Hasty. I'm the interim administrator for the Office of Grant Procurement, Coordination, and Management, or the Nevada Grant Office for short. With me, I also have Director Laura Freed, who is around somewhere. The grant office mission is to increase the number of grant dollars Nevada receives by reducing and removing barriers to federal grant funding by providing grant resources, advocacy, and coordination. Along with myself, I have 2 executive grant analysts that work with me right now. And so this is a housekeeping bill that was drafted in the spring of last year and is seeking to do 2 things that will help with the function of our office. And so, Madam Chair, I don't know if you want me to give a high-level overview or if you wanted to dive right into questions. I'm happy to do either.
If you would just, and you don't have to belabor it, but if you would just quickly point out the changes and where they are, that would be helpful, I'm sure.
Okay, thank you. For the record, Erin Hasty. Yeah, so there's 2 changes. We're seeking to, in section 1, add to the greatest extent practicable, which will provide us some flexibility in the services that we provide based on need. Like right now we saw, with COVID that we had to switch our services and try and track COVID funding, so that there's some unpredictable items that come up that would benefit the state. So that change just makes it to the extent practical, doesn't change any of the services, just gives us the option to increase or decrease based on functionality or staffing levels. And then the second change is the bottom of page 2. It's allowing the administrator to develop and maintain a manual of policies for grant procurement, coordination, and management. So those are the 2 changes.
Okay. I think I see a third, but tell me if I'm wrong. On page 2, line 31 and overlaps to 32, where you changed it to the administrator shall.
Oh, for the record, Erin Hasty, that one was in there. What our it used to say shall, so I think that's just for consistency's sake. Like the rest become optional, and not optional, but to the extent practicable. And the shall is making sure that we're submitting a report to you.
Okay, thank you very, very much. All right, are there any questions from the committee members? If I don't see you, raise your hand. Make sure you holler at me. Oh, there you are.
There.
Senator Hansen, first off the bat.
Okay, you hear me okay?
Uh-huh.
In my last committee with Chair Scheibel, she had us hit this little button, which makes me raise my hand. So, Senator Orenshaw is doing the same thing.
But we're not all that fancy here. We'll just go with
Because I don't want to be
whatever.
fancy. I actually had a couple of questions. One goes back to the position itself of grants coordinator. Pardon me for sounding antiquated here, but in 2008 and 9, they had the States Commission. The recommendation, I think it was number 41, was to create a state's grant coordinator position because the state was only getting token percentage of the money available. Does anybody know where we are today in ranking and how much money we're actually getting and how much we may be possibly leaving on the table? And that would relate directly to lines 39 through 41. I'm just wondering, is this the first time since the coordination of this process occurred that they were coming up with a manual, or there was no manual, no anything previously to pass it? If we pass this like it is in this bill, I'm just kind of curious of what the status is on that whole grants procurement process.
Sure. Erin Hasty for the record, and through you, Madam Chair, to Senator Hansen. Our office was created in 2011 after a SAGE Commission report, that showed that we were low. And so we've consistently still ranked towards the bottom. We fluctuated a little, and then our rankings have gone up with Medicaid expansion and bringing in grant dollars. But we've been in the middle or towards the bottom pretty consistently. And so fortunately, there's conversation and the governor put in the state of the state, that we really want to address that and wants to put resources into bringing in more federal funds. Our office has fluctuated a lot. So we started in 2011 and really focused on like a lot of pre-award, so we would do a lot of grant writing. And then as we started talking to stakeholders, getting some more funds in, like we saw that there was more than just grant writing to the barriers. Things like capacity, once you get a grant, it's a lot of work to do. So you need adequate staff to even manage. And so to your question about the policy manual, to my knowledge, there wasn't any set of standardized policies before 2018. And that was like the number one, we've surveyed grant stakeholders and they said that was the most useful thing that they would find is like a standardized set of templates and practices. And so we created a manual in 2018 for state agencies. We lack the authority to change it because it is referenced in the state administrative manual. So we can't update it and keep it up to date. And so like in November of 2020, the federal guidance changed. And so we need to change that manual. And so this change will allow us the authority to do that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Thank you. Actually, that's exactly the history I was kind of wondering about. I mean, I honestly haven't followed the whole grant stuff since clear back in 2011 when the SAGE Commission was still kind of a hot ticket item around here. But the manual, you created a manual in 2018, but you don't have the flexibility in law now still, even if we pass the bill, to make reasonable changes without coming back to the legislature every time? Is that what I'm hearing?
For the record, Aaron Hasty and our DAG reviewed this and said that would be like the language in the bill would provide us the authority to do that. So we won't have to keep coming back to you.
Yeah.
Good. No, that's what I want. That's a good idea. I mean, you need the flexibility to do that. I am glad to hear that the curve is at least looking better, that we're not leaving. I was surprised how much money the state was actually leaving on the table when the whole SAGE Commission thing hit. And I'm glad to hear we're getting closer to it. And I also was surprised how complicated the whole process is. It sounds easy just to write a grant, and send an application and get a bunch of money, but there's a lot of steps involved in it. So anyway, thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair, for indulging me. And it sounds like a great step in the right direction.
Thank you very much. Senator Goicoechea, did I see your hand up?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And, looking at the bill that was passed as it's currently in statute, it sounds like we should have a report available to us now, January 1st.
For the record, Aaron Hasty, we did submit a report, but I can make sure to send it directly to your staff.
That would be good. I think, some of us, again, that's where the questions are following along. We'd like to see those numbers, and just looking at the statute, that is required.
Thank you very much. Any additional questions?
Madam Chair.
Senator Neal.
So thank you, Madam Chair. I just had one question on section, I guess it's sub G, section 1 sub G on the coordinate. So in terms of what's currently happening with local and state agencies, how are you coordinating now to prevent the duplication? And then the second part to that question is there's a lot of federal money that came through during COVID. Are you also tracking any of those areas that came through?
So for the record, Aaron Hasty, and through you, Madam Chair, to Senator Neal, we are, I'll be honest, like we're limited in our coordination. Right now, we're a staff of 3. We have some mechanisms like the single point of contact where we are the agency. So if a grant requires that, and then any state agency needs to report to us if they're thinking of applying for a grant. But it's not utilized as effectively as it could be. So that is definitely something that we want to do, is because, we know that if you're submitting more than one application from a state, it makes it less competitive. So we could do better at coordinating. We're just really limited with our staff. We're doing a lot with that. And so hopefully we can, increase our outreach about the single point of contact. We can increase our coordination and talk about like our office so that people are aware of us. And so they know the first thing to come to us when they're thinking about applying for a grant is coming to us. So then we can match make with people and do help create more competitive applications. The second part to your COVID question is we shifted our resources this time, like when COVID hit, and we have a federal report that we do bi-weekly. And so we're tracking all of the funds that are coming into the state of Nevada. It's on our website. I'd be happy to send the link to you if you're interested. But we're tracking grants, the small business loans. And so we've shown about $23 billion into the state right now. So we are tracking that. It's a little hard to find like exactly where it's going, but that is part of what we're trying to find. And so that report is on our website and we update that bi-weekly. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Thank you for that. I just was super curious because I found out that there was grant money that came in that was offsetting some taxes in Clark County and Washoe for transportation, but it wasn't clear on how it was bifurcated and where the grant allocation came from and what it covered. So
for the record, I'll just say, yeah, it's been hard to track. There wasn't a centralized grant roll or, federal rollout. So it's been like drinking from a water hose, trying to find all that, but we're doing our best.
thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. Anybody else? If not,
Madam Chair, just to follow up on that, just to follow up, this is Senator Goycochea. Then in this report that you actually came out January 1st, are all those numbers, again, including the CARES Act money, is it at least touched on in this report?
For the record, Erin Hasty, in our grant office report, or we have two. Yeah, our annual report does speak of, it goes through like all of the activities that we've done, and then we do go through our federal tracking for COVID.
Thank you, and look forward to seeing a copy of that. Thank you, Erin.
Thank you very much. I just have one clarifying question, and you may not know the exact timeline, but down on section 2, or actually section 3B, where you're develop and maintain a manual of policies, ... how long do you think it might take you to develop that manual?
For the record, Erin Hasty, Madam Chair, we have the manual created already. It's on our website, and I've got the edits in there, and especially the ones that have been updated with the uniform guidance change. So it's done, just needs to be proofread, and it'll be ready to go.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Are there any additional questions from the committee? If not, we'll hear testimony in support of Senate Bill 15. And broadcast, would you help us with that?
Yes, I'd be honored, Chair. We just got a call that just came in. Stand by 1 second. We are currently taking support on Bill SB 15. Please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last three digits of 700, please slowly state your name for the record and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin.
My name is Brian Wachter, BryanWachter, and I'm on behalf of the Retail Association of Nevada. We would like to testify in support of Senate Bill 15. We think this is a government efficiency bill, and if we are leaving money on the table, then Nevada certainly needs to go get it, and so we strongly recommend support on SB 15.
Chair, there are no more callers in support at this time.
Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, this is Felicia in broadcast. I believe we have one caller within our Zoom call that is also here in support of the bill.
Okay, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. This is Dylan Keith with the Vegas Chamber. We are in proud support of this bill. We believe that Nevada needs to pick up any dollars that are left on the table as well, and we need to get our fair share of dollars and make sure that our state is run well. We are in support of any efficiencies that we can find for the Nevada grant process, and we have been, especially through the Southern Nevada Forum, since 2013. So I'd like to thank you, Madam Chair, and the members of the committee for bringing this bill forward.
Thank you very much. Do we have any more callers in support?
Mr. Cohen, are you in support of Senate Bill 15?
I'm going to be neutral to propose an amendment.
Please stand by, sir.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. All right, with that, we'll go to opposition.
Chair, the public line is open and working, and there are no callers in opposition at this time.
All right, thank you very much. We'll go to neutral.
Chair, again, we have no callers at this time in neutral.
Thank you very much.
And this is Felicia in broadcast. I believe we have one member in our Zoom call who is here for neutral.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Stephen Cohen for the record. Stephen with a V, Cohen, C-O-H-E-N, as in the Assemblywoman, no relation. Conceptually in support, but wanted to propose an amendment. Conceptually, give me a moment here, to section 1, sub A and B, and then companion. It looks like 3B. So I spoke with the agency with generalized authority to know these policies left and right, but with the agency that actually does this for a living, Madam Chair, through you, may I inquire of that agency since they're on the call?
Are you asking to speak directly to the agency right now?
Correct.
What we would like you to do is to propose your amendment, and then either they can respond or they can get with you and work on the proposal. But if you would present your amendment or your neutral thoughts, if you will.
Of course. Thank you, Madam Chair. So the issue that comes kind of with the bill being based in federal grants, the federal government has an office that kind of deals specifically in disability grants. And in the workforce, I don't know if they have it specific to supplier diversity. There is a threshold that entities are supposed to be meeting of 7%. Most of them are not at this point. It's a fairly new concept, but essentially the amendment would be founded in diversifying the vendor base to include minorities, specifically folks with disabilities.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cohen. What I'm going to ask you to do is if you would reach out to the bill sponsor and have that discussion with them, and it is their prerogative to accept or deny the amendment, and then we'll move forward. We're not going to be voting on the bill today, so please continue that conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, do we have anyone else in neutral?
Madam Chair, this is broadcast. I see no other callers in neutral at this time.
Thank you very much. I will now close, or before I close the hearing on Senate Bill 15, I would like to ask Ms. Hasty, do you have any additional comments?
For the record, Erin Hasty. No, Madam Chair, thank you for taking the time to hear our bill today.
Thank you very much. So I'll close the hearing on Senate Bill 15, and I will now open the hearing on Senate Bill 16. And this measure revises provisions relating to the Nevada Commission on Minority Affairs of the Department of Business and Industry. And if the bill presenters are ready, you may go ahead.
Madam Chair, for the record, my name is Laura Freed. I serve as the Director of the Department of Administration. I'm joined by Deputy Director Colleen Murphy, and I will hand it over to her to go through what is perhaps the simplest housekeeping bill I've seen in quite a while. But before I do, I want to note that we are also joined by the Director of the Department of Business and Industry and his Deputy Director and staff from the Commission on Minority Affairs. And though this is our bill, it certainly pertains to them. And I appreciate very much that they have attended this hearing. So with that, I will hand it off to Deputy Director Murphy.
Thank you very much. Go ahead when you're ready.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, and to each member of the committee. For the record, I am Colleen Murphy, as Director Freed noted. I serve as Deputy Director of the Nevada State Department of Administration. I join you here today and in conjunction with my colleagues from the Nevada State Department of Business and Industry to present SB 16, which revises provisions related to the Nevada Commission on Minority Affairs. The SB 16 is a policy housekeeping bill that revises an outdated NRS reference, whereby changing the department reference that is responsible for providing staff support to the Commission from the Department of Administration to the Department of Business and Industry, where the Commission has resided statutorily, organizationally, and budgetarily for many years. We thank you for the opportunity to present this very simple policy housekeeping bill, and staff are present from both departments to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. Any questions from committee?
Chair.
Senator Goicoechea.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. The way it's worded, it's a little confusing to me. It says the director, then it takes the Department of Administration out. Clearly intends to transfer it to the Department of Business and Industry, but the governor shall deem what compensation is appropriate, or would it be the Director of Business and Industry?
This is Laura Freed, Director of Administration, for the record. So this is simply regarding the administrative support for the Commission on Minority Affairs. The Commission on Minority Affairs has been located within the Business and Industry Director's Office for better than a decade. And so the compensation is all part of the regular budget process. And also the operating costs are located in the B&I Director's Office. So, and again, that's been true. The Commission on Consumer Affairs for Minorities was originally created in the 2003 special session. In 2007, it was transferred to the Consumer Affairs Division of Business and Industry. And then in 2009, via AB 254 of that session, the Commission on Minority Affairs landed in the B&I Director's office, where it has been ever since. And both the salary and operating costs live there, but we have in NRS 232.864 this holdover that says the Director of Administration shall provide staff assistance when in fact administration has not done that in quite some time. So that's what we say, that's what we mean when we say this is a cleanup bill.
Yes, I understand that, but it does say the governor shall deem what assistance is necessary. Is that how it is, or is it Director Brown?
So this is Terry Reynolds. May I address that? As Director Freed stated, basically we put together through business and industry, we have housed that function for quite some time, since 2009. And we put together within our director's office our budget, and that's one of the components of our budget that's funded through there. We have one management analyst that staffs the commission, and then they have an operating budget, albeit rather small, but that's determined by our request through the governor's finance office, ultimately, which comes to the legislature for approval.
Thanks, Terry. Just wanted that clarification.
Thank you very much. Any additional questions from the committee on this bill? Who just raised their hand? Senator Orenshaw, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And my question might be duplicative, but if this passes and signed by the governor, do you see any change in how the commission will work, and is this going to alter anything?
Terry Reynolds, for the record, Director for the Department of Business and Industry. Actually, it'll be business as usual. The commission, the legislature helps appoint the people to the commission. They have done an outstanding job. Emily works with them very closely, and for the functions that they do, I have a short presentation on that if you want to see. It's 5 minutes long, but if not, we'll just hand that out to the committee, and it outlines their duties. But no, it'll be business as usual, Senator.
Thank you, Director. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any additional questions? Okay, seeing none, we will hear testimony in support of Senate Bill 16. And just as a reminder, you have 2 minutes each. So we will wait for broadcasting.
Chair, the public line is open and working, and there are no callers at this time.
Okay, thank you. We will take testimony in opposition then.
Chair, we have no callers in the queue at this time.
And we will move on to neutral.
Madam Chair, we still have no callers in the queue at this time.
Thank you very much. I will ask the sponsor back for some final remarks, if you have any.
This is Laura Freed. For the record, I do not have any final comments, but thank the committee for hearing our bill.
Well, thank you very much for presenting to us, and I will close the hearing on Senate Bill 16. Okay, pause just for a minute. 1 minute recess while I organize my next little thought here. Thank you. Okay, thank you for your patience. We'll now move on to our period of public comment. We are going to wait just a minute to give our members of the public a chance to call in. So in my teaching world, I used to call this the teacher pause, and we give people a time to come in and collect their thoughts. Please remember to clearly state and spell your name and limit your comments to 2 minutes. We'll time each speaker for everyone to get a fair opportunity. You may also submit those in writing. Public comments are always appreciated. And I know in this virtual world, it allows many of us that would not be able to be here to tune in. Staff, is there any public comment waiting for us?
Chair, the public line is open and working, and you have no callers at this time.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, hearing no more public comment, and that concludes our meeting for today. We will not be having a meeting on Friday. We will try to limit those until we are in a position where they need to be had. Our next meeting will be on Monday at 3:30, and the meeting is adjourned. And thank you all for your patience as we work through this virtual world. And thank you, committee members, staff, and of course, our broadcasting services. Have a good evening.